Hi, my name is Ahana Bhat. I'm the Vice President of Longhorn Singers.
Well, welcome to the interview and welcome to the Butler School of Music.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you here. So it's Longhorn Singers. They're like a entity on campus, right? Like everyone knows, at least they've heard of them, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, who are the Longhorn Singers?
So we are the premier show choir here. We do a lot of singing and dancing, and it's honestly unlike anything else on campus. We get to sing arrangements of popular music, so there's a huge audience that we can appeal to, and we do big shows in both semesters. And then we also do gigs around the community, singing to family, friends, members of the community. We also go up to Dallas for Texas OU weekend, which is always super awesome. And as vice president, that is something I have a huge role in planning. So I'm really looking forward to that this year.
Okay, have you started planning that weekend already?
Yeah, I've been looking into some potentially some new gigs for us. It's always exciting for us to feel that Texas pride when we're up there and, we're seeing all the Sooner fans. It's like we just have to feel that Texas pride. So I'm looking for gigs that are kind of oriented around that. And also just, emailing and contacting some of the gigs that we've performed at before, because we do perform at children's hospitals and retirement homes. And we always love going back every year because they really enjoy having us. And it's always a pleasure to sing for them, because I think our gigs are some of our most wide-reaching impact that we have in the community. And it's super important to what we do. So. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the songs you sing, especially for those kind of events, they were written before you were born, before your parents were born, maybe before your grandparents were born. How big of a history does your group have?
So we were founded in 1958. So I believe this is our 67th year of existence.
Wow.
We were originally formed as separate entities. So it was a men's glee club and then a women's glee club. And then we were originally merged. We were founded by Dr. Morris Beachy. And so I believe that it started out initially as a very large group. It wasn't as exclusive as it is right now, but it was just an opportunity for people to sing in a less formal context than maybe some of the actual university choirs, and then also get in touch more with, feeling that Texas pride and singing Texas music. It's a really unique opportunity we get, and it's super well arranged and really lovely to sing.
Yeah, do you know anything about those early times? Like what it was like? You said it was bigger, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, I have a huge interest in looking into it, and I've discussed it a couple times with some of the older members I know. But I believe that it was really just whoever wanted to join would join, and it was a really large ensemble. And I think I've seen a picture or two, and it was just a lot of people, of course. And I think that there was a relatively large presence on campus. We still have alumni that, they are on our Facebook and then they comment, I was in Longhorn Singers in 1960 something. And it's remarkable because it still had an impact on them back then. And just as the way it does for us now. I think we're a group heavily based in tradition. So there are a couple traditions that have started more recently, but I'm sure that there are a lot of components of our everyday operations that, go back to maybe the 60s or 70s in their origin. Yeah.
So what are some of those old traditions? So some people listening or watching, right? They might be thinking, I wonder if they still do this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to spoil too much because...
is it secrets?
I mean, obviously it's once you're in the group, you know it. We have a particular song that we will sing a lot, and it's a tradition thing. And I think this is a really funny anecdote, but we were singing a tailgate outside of a football game one game last fall. And as we were about to sing, this man came up to us, and it was me and my friend, we were standing next to each other. And he started singing that song that only we sing in the group. And he started singing it to us, and he sang a verse, and we were just looking back and we were like, what's going on? And then we did our gig, and then we looked around, he was gone. And it was oh my gosh. But I think it's cool that those things stick with you. And I know I'm being very vague, we sing a song, that's very vague. But I think it's special that, we share these collective experiences. And even though we change things to accommodate for changing times, we still keep the core elements of what make those traditions what they are to us.
Yeah. So is it a song that was written for this group, or is it just a more obscure song that you just happen to sing?
I'm not entirely sure. It
Okay.
might just be an obscure song. I
Uh-huh.
think potentially there are some modifications that are based off of what people in the group did, but I'm not really
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
It's also a song that we sang around the time where we're initiating our new guys, which are the new members of the group. So, it's kind of like a thing that introduces them into the group, and then they learn the song, and then we all know it, and it's just something we share. But apart from that, we have a couple traditions. Like we always welcome our new members in the same exact way, and it's a very special way that makes them feel very integrated very quickly. And I will always remember my first few weeks in the group as being some of the best that I've ever had in college. So I think we do a really good job of selling this group to our new members immediately, and I think the traditions are what really help us do that.
Are there any stories, or have you ever met any alumni who like that's where they met and they got married, or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, there are actually there are quite a few couples that have come out of the group. Uh, yeah, there are some that have gotten married, and I have access to the Longhorn Singers Instagram, so sometimes if I just open up the app, I'm like, oh my gosh, like a couple got married. It's really cool. Um, yeah, and I think it's cool that we're all connected by a collective love for music, and then even if we have different majors, like this is something that binds us all together. And when we have these experiences from semester to semester, I think there are some budding romances and
Yeah.
really great friendships that last for a long time. So we're a very close-knit group, and I think that the social aspect is a super huge part of that.
Yeah. Were there any rough times in your history? Were there any times that the group kind of struggled? Like I assume COVID, you really struggled, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I think that's probably the thing that sticks out to us the most because it is the most recent. They weren't allowed to have auditions for fall 20. And so spring 21 was the class that, was the first one after COVID and everything happened like that. And it was hard. It was challenging because obviously singing with masks, they were, all of our first week traditions and everything, we're always together, and you obviously can't do that, COVID restrictions. And so they found innovative ways to get through that. There were a lot of Zoom meetings involved in that. And
Were there Zoom rehearsals?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think there were. There
That must be hard
were.
because isn't it on Zoom just one person at a time you can hear?
Yeah, and there's like
Yeah.
always a delay. I think they would also meet up in sections in different places. So not necessarily the entire group is rehearsing together at the same time, but sometimes they'll just like the altos will be off somewhere while the sopranos are rehearsing somewhere else. So I think they just found ways to get through it like that. And if I'm incorrect and any of my Spring 21 ladies are watching right now, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I think it was also an interesting time because they had to work on rebuilding the group and making sure that the traditions weren't lost, because obviously we missed out on a whole fall class that we could have had. And
Which is like 25% of your group.
Right.
Because every year you lose
Mhm.
25%.
So yeah, the really unique thing was that fall 21, which is there were a couple of graduating seniors who were from that class this spring. There was basically half of the group were returning members and half of the group were new people. And that was like unprecedented.
Yeah.
And especially because the traditions in this group center so much around the new members every semester. I'm sure it was a really unique experience for the returning members to like not be outnumbered, but basically have like a one-to-one pairing for that many new people. But I think that they did a really good job of, bringing the life back, making sure that traditions weren't lost, and just keeping it going, even if they weren't able to like put on the hugest shows or if they weren't able to do the most outreach. They did a really good job of keeping it going. And I think that now we've come out of it even stronger. Like we know maybe where our shortcomings are and how we can improve upon. And I was on the exec board last year, and I think that it was really cool seeing this transition into the School of Music happen, because obviously we were previously an ensemble in the Butler School of Music, and coming back, like seeing, where we can maintain our traditions and where we can be stronger and also represent the school has been really cool.
So you used to be part of the Butler School of Music. Oh,
Yes.
wow. How long ago was that? Do you have any idea?
I think it was a little over 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's like welcome home.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Did you start in the music school?
I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that we were strongly associated with the School of Music ever since we began. I think we likely were a part of the School of Music from the start. It might have been more loosely associated at the beginning, like it didn't need to be so strict. But yeah, we were, I think, under the School of Music for a very long time. And we also, as a group, used to have a much higher music major presence. So it was vocally, it was very strong because it was like a lot of like music majors and
professional musicians.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and people who are, this is what they came to college for. But I think it's really cool because now we're, approaching a time where we are almost like, we're getting back to that vocal strength and like the performance styles and everything, because we used to perform in, I believe it was the Hog Auditorium. So we had a much larger space. Yeah. We had live music and everything. So looking at some of those older videos, it's like we are coming back to that kind of strength and just like how we perform and how we present ourselves. But this time it's like, it's not mandatory that we have to be mainly composer music majors. Like we are coming back on a time where everyone who auditions for this group is incredibly remarkable. And it, sitting in that audition room and after everyone leaves and having to decide is one of the most challenging things because everyone is so good and there's not a like wrong choice at that moment.
Yeah, but you still have to make the decision.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it seems like the trajectory is just really, really cool. Do you know who the president was or the vice president during those COVID years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they did a great job because so many groups fell apart.
Yes.
And it's just amazing to see that the traditions did follow through. And now it's like you're growing and growing just after a couple of years.
Yeah. I think we had really great leadership, especially Fall 21, we had Swara Mukumala and Nathan Shelton. Those were that was the president and vice president. And even now,
shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Amazing. Yeah,
they're still talked about very highly.
Yeah. It could have easily fallen apart.
Yeah. They were insistent that this group remains as it is, and that entire exec board was really great because they worked through it. I was the social and traditions chair last year, and I was doing that as a sophomore, which is sometimes hard because you're having to basically lead the traditions having only 1 year in the group.
Yeah.
And back in Fall 21, my friend Shreya, she was a sophomore who was doing the social and traditions position. And she only had 1 semester of online experience in the group to do it. And I think so much respect to her.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so much respect because, she carried through those traditions and now we, still have them. We're still doing them. And I think it's really great that even, despite how difficult it was, the elements and of what made this group what it is, continued through.
Yeah, it's just so important. At that time, it was also so scary, especially at the start, right?
Mm-hmm.
That to have that, you want to push these traditions when you're scared about what's going on around you. Just incredible. So what do you think the future holds when we look forward? So we've talked a lot about the past. So now you're joining the school again. So what do you think 25 years from now or 50 years from now, what do you think the Longhorn Singers will be doing?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. It's crazy to think that, and I believe that, as long as this school keeps being an institution, that Longhorn Singers will, remain as it is. I think that we're only getting better in terms of, again, performance quality, leadership quality, organization. We're just putting a lot of work into making sure that we can be a, smoothly functioning unit. And I honestly just imagine that we will have even like stronger internal organization and then just have a wider name on campus. Like, yes, people know us, but I think that there is a lot of room for growing that audience. Because there are even some friends that I had this year who I told them about the group and I was like, please come see a show. And then they saw the show and they were like, I didn't even know that this was a thing on campus. And it's like, I just hope that Longhorn Singers can be as widespread of a name as it should be because everyone who joins is so passionate and so dedicated to what they do. And, this group asks a lot out of you at times, especially during our show weeks, during OU weekend. There's just a lot of commitment required and people, they don't ask questions. They know what they have to do and they put their all into it. And that's super cool. And I don't see that dying down anytime soon. Even the younger members now, so the people that joined this year are incredibly driven, super motivated for leadership. And it's super exciting because I know that, 25 years from now, we're going to have the group in the same good hands because it's going to be year after year of people with strong heads on their shoulders, deciding who joins the group. So honestly, I just see us flourishing and hopefully, booking bigger gigs and being able to perform in larger spaces and just being able to perform without any kind of worry for anything else.
Yeah. Well, you've performed in some pretty big spaces. Formula One, the basketball game, like those are big spaces.
Yeah.
So what does the commitment look like? So not on a crazy week, not OU, but like just a normal week. What does the time commitment look like for someone in Longhorn Singers?
So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have music rehearsals from 5 to 6:30, and that's here in the Butler School of Music. And then also in the same building on Sundays, we have choreo rehearsals from 6 to 9 p.m. It's a pretty manageable commitment for the most part. But I think, people will go above and beyond in what they commit to the group. And we will have socials, throughout the semester. Sometimes it's like week after week, we'll have a different event. We also started something new. Maybe this is me doing a personal plug because I had the chance
go for it. This is the time. Yeah.
And it's just something I'm really excited about. But last fall, as the social and traditions chair, I started something called Coffee House for our group, which was basically just kind of like a casual open mic night for us, but for us to have like a social and a performance setting at the same time. For some reason, we hadn't done that. And maybe we did that years ago and I just have no idea. But we went to a coffee shop down in South Congress and they, let us have the patio for a couple hours. And then we got the equipment, set it up. And then it was essentially a space for people to perform the songs that they love without being, restrained by a theme or being constricted to a certain genre or anything like that. And it is beautiful to see people choose the songs that they really love and just sing it so genuinely. And it's a pretty kind of intimate setting because it is just like, a little corner of the patio and you have your mic and, some people bring their instruments and they just sing.
Is it open to the public or is it?
Nice. It is open to the public. I envisioned it to be kind of a balance between a social for just us, but then also, encouraging members to invite their friends and their family. And then also if people are visiting that hotel/coffee shop, they can also, stop by and listen to us.
It's like, this is the best open mic night ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's really cool because I think people got to have a lot of creative freedom with that. And also it's not a very rigorous audition process. It's just submitting a video to say that, hey, I am practicing. But just giving people the flexibility to perform whatever they'd like. And we live streamed it these past 2 semesters. So even family that, maybe couldn't make it up for a weekend got to see that performance. And it's not as stressful as like a big show where it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much on the line. There's all this, we're ticketing it and everything. It was just kind of like, no, show everyone and remind us why we're here in this group. Because every so often, you hear someone, you're like, oh, everyone here can sing really well. So it's really cool.
Yeah, which is not the norm in an open mic.
Yeah.
Well, we're so happy to have you here at the Butler School of Music. And we're going to link all your information below where people can find out. So you've got 2 big concerts that people should plan to attend, fall and spring, right? So they'll be on our Butler calendar. We'll do some email blasts with those. So, but yeah, if you're not on the email or if you're students, right, they can check out your socials, right? It's all linked down below. And so thank you so much for coming and sitting down. And we just can't wait for this upcoming year and to have you part of the Butler family.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. And we're just so excited.